This is Casey, 7 months pregnant. Everyone wanted to know who the pregnant girl was at the party. When Cindy Anthony, Casey's mother, and George Anthony were confronted with this, they both looked at him like, they both looked at Cindy's brother like he was crazy. They denied. Cindy, who is a registered nurse, said, "Oh no, she's just retaining water." You'll hear other stories, well, oh, she just had a tumor. She was pregnant. There's no denying this. This is a pregnant girl. But yet the entire family wanted to keep it quiet. Why? They hid this child, this beautiful child, in life. You can best believe that they would hide her death. Now, another thing you'll hear is when Casey didn't want to hide this anymore, she went to Cindy's job. And in the middle of the summertime in July, wearing an overcoat, hot summer day, wearing a huge coat to hide her pregnancy. When co-workers saw her, they began to talk. Office gossip came around. And unfortunately, a week later, Cindy Anthony had her come in and announce that she was going to be a grandmother. Something's not right here. This is strange. This is bizarre. This is the life of Casey Anthony. Now, as this case was being investigated, this all came to light. Everyone was aware that they hid this beautiful child like a flower in the attic. They treated this pregnancy as if it never happened. Police got to be a little suspicious. And you'll hear evidence that Casey has a brother, and he too wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. And on certain occasions when he was a teenager, he attempted to also touch his sister, although it didn't go as far. It got so bad that the FBI did a paternity test to see if he was Kaylee's father. And when he was confronted with this information, he didn't deny it. He said, "We'll talk about it when the time is right." Well, the time is now. The time is now to try and save his sister's life, but yet these secrets, these family secrets, still remain locked. You're going to hear all kinds of bizarre family behavior that just doesn't make sense. How parents should stand by their child, but instead are throwing them under the bus, making bizarre statements and accusations. And that's what this case is going to be about. You're going to hear all kinds of interesting behavior from all parties, not just Casey. And once you see some of this behavior, you'll realize that the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. We are what we are because of who brought us into this world and how we were raised. Casey was raised to lie. This child, who at 8 years old, learned to lie immediately. She could be 13 years old, have her father's penis in her mouth, and then go to school and play with the other kids as if nothing ever happened. Nothing's wrong. That will help you understand why no one knew that her child was dead. That's the most important thing you must keep in the back of your mind, is that sex abuse does things to us. It changes you. Some people are fortunate to live with it. Others are not. And in this sad tragedy, had to happen to Casey. On June 16th, 2008, Casey was home with Kaylee, and so was her father. Early morning hours, the exact time is not known. It could have been early afternoon, early morning. Actually, it was the early morning hours. George Anthony approached Casey and started yelling at her. Where's Kaylee? Where's Kaylee? They began to search the house. They couldn't find her. They searched in the bedroom. They searched under the beds, in the closets, in the garage. Then they went outside. This is a mock-up of the Anthony home, where you'll see they both came outside. Casey came around to the left of the house. George went that way towards the pool. They have an above-ground pool with a ladder. And we'll talk about the pool and the ladder in just a moment. But what happened next is, as soon as Casey came around this corner and went back, she saw George Anthony holding Kaylee in his arms. She immediately grabbed Kaylee and began to cry and cry and cry. And shortly thereafter, George began to yell at her. "Look what you've done! Your mother will never forgive you, and you will go to jail for child neglect for the rest of your freaking life." She cried and asked for her father's help. And it was shortly thereafter that George did help. It's at this moment that Casey should have been stronger. Casey should have called 911. Casey should have done the right thing. And that's what she's guilty of. She's not guilty of murder. This is not a murder case. This is not a manslaughter case. This is a sad, tragic accident that snowballed out of control.